I was pretty much done with the video when I uploaded it. I was kind of expecting it to be cool, it's done, it's out of my hair. But if anything, the next 2 to 3 weeks after that were probably the most intense 2 to 3 weeks I've ever experienced in my fucking life. I've never received so many emails and so many people telling me their stories, their tales, people asking questions, people telling me to shut the fuck up. It just ranges. Why am I doing this video? I get comments every week asking me. A lot of people didn't want me to do this video. They said that I said what needed to be said. I didn't need to say any more. But a lot of people came forward and I felt like I was sitting on a lot of information. So I decided that the best thing to do would probably just to tell you guys what I got. But instead of taking another 8 months to do a scripted video, I'm just going to do it ad-lib and off the cuff. I'm just going to read you all I have, and we can go from there. This video is going to cover everything we've missed, the aftermath, Wingcloud's response. We're also going to talk about Sekai's response, and many other things that happened. The first thing I want to go over is the 3 things that were wrong with the video. The first thing was that AGB Impresium Company isn't actually a company.
This is the earliest company I could find. Sources told me it dates back earlier, but this was a good starting point.
It's just German translation for like all rights reserved. It basically isn't the company's name. But they did have a company name. I'm not too sure what exactly it was, but in my video I stated that there was an AGB Impresium Company that Nick Farr was running at the time. That was the only thing that I'd gotten in terms of information from the sources that I got. You gotta understand, they also speak German, so the translation does get lost. So that's not the name of the company. So it's a no-name company. The second thing, Sugar's Delight was actually translated by Necosoft.
Sugar's Delight is published under Necosoft Company, but comes under heavy fire.
Sugar's Delight was actually translated by somebody from Neko. I got an email about it from a source, which I will cover a little bit later in the video. And the final thing is Neko didn't work with Wanaka, they worked with her under an alias.
You can see that Wanaka's style is starting to come of age.
Some artists do that. Some artists, they like to use aliases because they don't want to be associated, or they do it for business purposes. The video itself isn't all about Wanaka, and everybody thinks that's what it was about, and it's so bizarre when you make something and people only focus on one element. The video is fucking, what is it, 20-30 minutes long? Yet they think the whole thing's about Wanaka, and they think that because I said that I should back off and shut up and not say anything, and Wingcloud didn't do anything wrong. And this is where I'm going to get into with their responses too, because they really did do an amazing job of deflecting the entire blame back towards me, as if I'm sort of starting a movement, when they didn't talk about the other fucking things. If you see here, as I'm showing you on the screen, all these bits here are the bits that have to do with Wanaka in the video. I've time-stamped them so you can see it for yourself. I think you're smart enough to go and have a look. But we gotta remember it's Nick, it's not Wanaka that we're talking about. Wanaka is just a piece of the puzzle, and I did find it a bit confusing. A lot of people shifted focus, but again, some people like to only see what they are told to see. People asking where the actual evidence is. I showed it in the video.
I knew that that was the case because he told me.
Tony confirmed that she was being paid a lot less for her efforts, owing €200, which he never pays. This leads to Necosoft being blacklisted by Stellar Null. As I previously covered, money apparently never fully got refunded. Sekai decided to deflect the blame.
Still had the whole head of, let's get the voice actors something they deserve. I wanted to try to push the expectation of what we could give.
Kayla is left in the dark. A radio silence from our boy once again.
Record sometime soon, and he would always say, yeah, the Guardian Spell script got delayed, and then he kept blaming the writer, saying, oh, she's an amateur, she's been delaying this for like months.
He responds with a statement. but the damage is already done.
That was when I pretty much had to put my foot down and go, okay, no, we're not going to play this game.
During the time of the Michaela saga, Wingcloud had a conflict of interest with Sekai Project and leaves for Manga Gamer. Former Sekai employees have heard stories about the elusive Exilium around the office at this point. Magical Girls was labelled as a scam by fans that were paying for a fresh concept via Patreon.
Now, I did mention that some of the evidence I can't actually show. I'll put on the screen during this portion the rest of the evidence that I can show. Did you see it? Some people are so weird. And then, in which I will get to it, Wingcloud's response, they didn't even mention any of this. So it's quite interesting to see that they were willing to only look at the Wanaka stuff, but not necessarily look at the actual physical evidence, and then to say that there was no physical evidence. I mean, I don't know what you want. I don't know what else you want. This is all the stuff I'm showing you on the screen. I also have an email from, I can't mention the name, the person himself, but it's from somebody who had a series of emails with Nick regarding marketing and breaking a specific contract with a specific person. I won't say which company it was. You'd be smart enough to work out who it was. And instead of paying the marketing team to help him out, he decided to run off with it and use it for his own gain. I have the contract. I have the contract in which Nick decided that no, I'll just take this and I won't pay for it. It sounds familiar. this one particular person talks about their experiences working with WinCloud. I do find it quite interesting. I don't want to tell the name because they actually still have employment, but they talk specifically about the things that they worked on, the things that they did while they were there, and the way that they were treated by Nick. They go into talking about how they were to proofread the game, and they were incredibly strict with the way that they would work, but they would not give a single fuck about coding. They just wanted to ship the game as fast as they could. This particular case of evidence, it just goes to show that, again, Nick didn't really care about the quality. He wanted quantity. I got an email from Aint Studios. If you remember, I talked about Aint Studios just a brief bit in the video. This email was one of the first emails that I got during the whole thing. And he was an amazing dude. Comey's an amazing bloke. Email as reads, bit late, but your video reminded me of a few things. One of the big things that kicked off falling apart was the treatment of Wanaka. During the end of our agreement, I had to try and commission her for a couple pieces of art for a project I'd been working on at the time. Some small stuff, nothing too interesting. About a day or two after things had been finalized, I got an apology message from her and then a very gruff message from Zent, aka Nick. There are a couple of games he prepped for releasing during early 2012 that were never released. It was a form of sequel to Sugar's Delight. A couple dozen CGs were done by Wanaka. Apparently he managed to grade a couple of other writers, and materials I was given was so bad I couldn't really do anything with them. It was a shame because some of the CGs were actually really nice. Pyro Heart on Steam was actually a voiceless version because he couldn't get the voice actors to give up the rights, since the original intent was to release it for a free build upon traction for some of the Otome games. I was paid a small sum for script rights, and they took it to Steam despite my advice that it was a bad idea. You notice Aint name is not on it. I requested that, didn't want to be involved in it. I actually never got to edit the script. My first draft was used. A lot of people think, Shades, do you think the whole Wanaka thing's real? Do you think that she is trapped in a contract, or she doesn't want to go anywhere? I don't know. I make it pretty clear in my video that a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is an if and only, apart from the stuff that I show that is physical evidence. But a lot of this stuff is quite known, apart from the Wanaka stuff. The Wanaka stuff was stuff that people that had worked close had known. Whether or not Nick's changed, I'm not entirely too sure. And I'll get to that a little bit as well. But in particular, do I think that... I don't know. I don't know. Because, to be honest with you, I like to think that she isn't. I like to think that she's fine. But, you know, a lot of people think I'm spreading lies and stuff. I'm just merely telling you guys what I heard. What am I supposed to do? Not say a fucking thing? But just for this instance, and just for the rest of this video, I will take that off the table. And by doing that, this is what's left. And no, they didn't answer for any of that. Now we're going to look at the statements. They all did their own statements. I guess they were advised by Nick to say something. WinClouds came last, which I kind of felt damage control wise they would have done it first, but whatever. Their one is the most interesting one, because this is where a lot of people kind of shot back at me when they only wanted to read what they wanted to read, and we're going to read it together. PR Coon's statement. First of all, I just want to say, if you're going to talk about stealing money, the way you treat your employees, and just the fact that you are not an asshole, you want to stand up for yourself, don't call yourself PR Coon. Really? Come on, man. Like, first, we know it's you, and if it isn't you, really? Come on, man. It may be the time to comment on the video that was released lately regarding the company, or being more specific, the head of the company. Since this is more of a serious post, we apologize to those who are here for the entertaining aspect of our Patreon page. But I want to tell you my opinion as well, as part of Wing Cloud. This is the weirdest put together fucking... This is the weirdest paragraph. It's so weird because then he also says that he wants to say his opinion, but then as a PR guy, wouldn't your statement be the statement of the guy who runs the company? Wouldn't that be your job, to get the statement from him and then word that statement to the people? It doesn't make any sense. Some refer to me as PR Coon, even though the person before me got the name, which was Nick. I joined Wing Cloud about a year ago, and this post speaks for myself and my opinion, not for the company. Okay. I joined Wing Cloud about a year ago, and this post speaks for myself and my opinion, not for the company. He's the PR manager of the fucking company. Of course it's going to speak him. He's posting on the official Wing Cloud Patreon. How is that not speaking for the company? He's the PR man. Fucking Christ. Some of us watched the video and got confused. Most of these things happened before I joined Wing Cloud, so I'm not one to judge what happened years ago. Okay. But you should ask your boss if he's gonna answer for that stuff. Okay, let's look at it this way. Nick didn't pay for music. He owes Stella Knoll, what, €300? I think it was, for the music at the time. And probably a lot of other people that I don't know. But say that's the equivalent to buying a pizza, except you don't pay for it. And then a couple years down the track you go, well, you know, hey, that's in the past, man. Can I order another pizza? Doesn't work like that, dude. You stole stuff from somebody. I myself had a very positive experience with Wing Cloud. If I wasn't happy with the way we work or the way we get treated, wouldn't we leave anyway? Wouldn't the workers' rights always back us? Yeah, they would. Again, I don't know who this is, like, it's just, are you talking for the company or are you not talking for the company? This is a very weird statement. This is the weirdest statement out of everything. And, okay, you know, on the day the video was released, I talked to Wanaka about it. So, the PR dude talked to Wanaka about it. Apparently Nick didn't. I wanted to quote her, but she posted a nice statement herself. Well, that's good. We can believe that she posted it, I guess. Again, it's left up to your own interpretation, if she did or if she didn't. Again, sorry for this being off topic from the normal Patreon post, but maybe it was necessary to say it. Hopefully you can understand my point here, and again, it's my point of view. I'm not speaking for the company. You're a PR manager that's doing a press junket. You are talking to your fans. You are speaking for the company, dude. Also, bashing the head of the company is something different than attacking someone personal. Yeah, no, I can completely agree with that. You might want to ask Nick about that. If anything, I probably inherited it from him. If the video hurts the company, it hurts the employees as well. Well, it would, because if you started losing money because of it, I wouldn't blame me, I'd blame your boss and the way he runs his shitty company. And if we employees wouldn't care for the company, we wouldn't stay. I enjoy working for Wing Cloud. Kind regards, PR. By the way, they didn't mention any of this shit because apparently this isn't important. Let's take a look at Wanaka's statement. Wanaka's talking time, please read. I tend to avoid talking about my personal life on the internet, but it seems this time is needed. My English is not that good, but I'm sure it can be understood. It seems someone is making up stories about me and my job at Wing Cloud. I was never asked to confirm those stories, they were true or not. I got an interview request, which I declined simply because I don't like them, but nobody asked me because those rumors got spread. It's true, I did talk to you, and you declined doing the interview with me. Those were the questions I was going to ask you. But if you declined the interview with me, I wasn't going to go back afterwards with all the stuff and be like, well, you didn't interview, is this shit true? You had kind of already fobbed me off at that point. First of all, I'm going to say I do love my work at WingCloud. I've been working here for many years, and I keep working at WingCloud for many more in the future. It feels good to be respected and treated properly as an artist, most importantly as a human being. I'm allowed to do outside work and commissions, but since I've been a busy person and I earn a very well, I'm not going to say how much, I earn because it's private, but enough money to accommodate life, so I don't need to do commissions. If I delete an illustration from my galleries, it's because I want to. Well, the other previous emails, and again, I don't really want to go up against Wanaka because, and I will say at the end of this part, you can explain that to people because there have been a number of people that have messaged me saying that their art has been removed due to the fact that Nick didn't want it up there. I'm not scared, trapped or stuck, caught in a contract since I don't even have a contract. You should have a contract. You should have a that is already a red fucking flag. That is the reddest fucking flag I've ever seen. You have done how many commercial games with him and you don't have a contract? You should definitely have a contract with someone who is paying you on a regular basis. I know this doesn't seem like it's to do with much, but it is. It is. You should have a... Wanaka, I urge you, please, if you do watch this, get a fucking contract. If any of this video, any of the previous video means anything to you, you should have a contract. That's what workers' rights are. I trust my boss that much, I don't need one, so technically I'm speaking freelancer. I use logic. If I would be treated badly, I would have left the company right away. I know how to defend my rights. I feel terrible about these fake rumors. That's why I'd rather talk about it and stop it somehow, even though that doesn't suit me, since I never enjoyed Twitter drama, than just shutting up and watching how the work of many years of our life, me and the whole team, goes to the toilet. Well, I mean, it hasn't really gone to the toilet. You guys haven't really lost anything. I didn't really do that much damage. Anyways, big thanks to the guys supporting me WingCloud all the time. I wouldn't be able to put food on the table and have a decent life if it wasn't because of you. I keep working hard, enjoying the job as usual. The best way to show my gratitude. Again, I don't know what to say. It's funny because the biggest red flag in the whole thing is she doesn't have a contract. I think if you're going to work for a company and you're going to have games that earn a lot of money, and again, I've shown, here's some figures of how much money these games earn. You need to have a contract. How are you claiming tax on this shit? There's so many questions. I'm not going to answer them because I'm so done with this fucking shit. It's a bit of a fucking novel. Again, I didn't want to pull her into it, but she decided to pull herself into it. It's more of a rage piece than anything. It's not... It kind of gets really defensive because she does seem to focus on certain aspects and not the entirety of the video. As an artist working for the company, I'd like to leave my 2 cents here, and maybe a bit long and full of bad English, so I apologize beforehand. I only came to the company 2 or 3 years ago, so I wasn't around when it started. Therefore, I can't say anything about the problems that happened around the time. That's where it should end. You shouldn't say anything else because all the stuff that I mentioned previously before is stuff that is the problem. Now, the problem I see with your video is you seem to deliberately want to bring all those problems into the present without any evidence. I have plenty of evidence. Again, here's all the evidence. I've explained your reasons you believe all you wrote about Wanaka, but in the 8 months of research, it didn't occur to you to go and contact her about it. She didn't want an interview, but I'm sure you had to address the problem in a conversation, not an interview public later. Even if you really believed her accounts were compromised and therefore any reply you got from her would not be your own, you should have found a way to discover whether it was the true Wanaka. I only wish I had superpowers so I could deduct that. What? No. Even if I thought that her account was compromised, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to dox her account to work out that it's not her running the account? Nobody else wanted to talk to me about it. You're making such hard statements in public because that's what research is. You'll work your way to the truth. You don't realize that the first fake news that hits your preconceived idea, again, evidence. For example, if you had asked me, I could have told you the fact is that it is her Twitter account. You made it sound like Nick is evil incarnate because he's made mistakes in the past, and the people who were affected definitely need an apology if they didn't get one already. Yes. Yes, he is. And yes, they all need an apology. And if we go back to the PR Coon apology, There's no apology to Michaela Laws. There's no apology to the Voice Actors Guild. There's no apology to Stella Null. There's no apology to the Torano Tsubasa people. But we'll continue. But that's far from the truth, at least in the years I've known him. Well, that's fine. That's your opinion. But there is a stack of people that gave me physical evidence that told me otherwise. The contract, yes. None of us have a contract. None of you have a contract. That's fucking great. Because technically we're freelancers. How many fucking games have you guys worked on? We can be fired as much as we can decide to leave in the middle of a project, but I'm not scared of that. I've been freelancing for a long time. I'll go back commissions at any one of my clients, but I'm usually just so that my clients have a legal writing saying I can't use my art for my own stuff. And then this is interesting because a lot of people replied saying, I'm a huge fan of the Sakura series and relieved to hear that you and Wanaka are okay. But what about the other claims in the video? And this is the point. We believe you, Inma and Wanaka. We don't believe your boss. And that was what it was about. Again, I can see how the focal point shifts. Liberty here, I'm also an employee at WingCloud. I'd like to add that the situation that's been created about Wanaka is essentially Kafka trapping. Where the denial of an accusation is seen as evidence, the accusation is true. I've spoken to Wanaka a lot over the years, and there's no way she should be working at WingCloud if she didn't enjoy her work. To speak of my potential experience with XCM, he's treated me fair and paid me constantly. Obviously, we haven't always seen eye to eye, but that's just something that happens at workplaces sometimes. I won't rattle on for too long because Inma has already explained my grievances with this video. The idea that Wanaka is in some type of situation locked in a cage in XCM's basement, it's not his basement, while working for pennies is absurd. I also like to point out this video says that I am one of XCM's aliases even though I've been working at WingCloud for years. The bit that you are talking about, Liberty, is not this part of the video. You're talking about the video in which I was talking about the previous aliases, and then I found out that the real alias was this alias, not the other aliases. I already confirmed that in the beginning of the video.
As for the list of names we uncovered, well, this here is our guy, Exelim.
So I'd like people to take a step back and think about how Shade's made an accusation which can't be proven by him. He stole money. Pissed off a lot of people. It's not the only part of the video, guys. The reason why I'm going to talk about these games, the reason why I want to talk about this is because I don't want to talk about WingCloud anymore, so I'm just going to wipe out everything else that's left on the table, including the stuff that they're currently working on, because I don't want to fucking know about it anymore. So WingCloud has been really just pumping these games out. One particular, I mean, they've hired more team members and stuff. They've hired a new writer. They've hired a new artist. They're also working on a few other games, and some of these games are quite interesting. This one's quite interesting. It's basically Galgun visual novel. I like to call this the era where Nick has run out of ideas, and he's just sort of moving into the territory of, yeah, what's sold in that area. So, Galgun Sakura is happening. And it gets even stranger because then they're doing, which I completely guessed what it was, and it looks very, very, very fucking familiar to Honeycamp Studios. That he's trying with new gameplay. We can only hope that it's going to stick because, as we know, he doesn't stick with gameplay. Again, I wish Wanaka and Inma all the best. I love their art. I think their art's great. I think Nick still needs to apologize, and he still needs to pay all the people he owes, and he needs to really look at himself and say, hey, look, maybe I have changed as a person, but that still doesn't excuse me for money I have owed and things I've stolen and people I've hurt. That kind of stuff needs to be addressed. During this entire thing, Sekai, even though I only mentioned them a brief bit, they freaked the fuck out. And I'm not going to talk about Sekai as if they're a respectable company at the moment, because I really think the way they treated me is a bit unfair. They wasted my time, and I hate my time being wasted. They decided that they wanted to comment on all the particular instances of this video. We want to jump in and clarify a few points made in the video based on information. We're only involved in refunding backers of the Kickstarter because WingCloud refused to. The updates put out were information forwarded us to Exilium, who refused to talk to his backers, so they instantly throw Exilium under the bus. We try to clean up the business to the best of our ability, but his aggressive behavior, inconsistencies led to us parting ways. We don't involve ourselves in budget and production unless specifically requested by the devs. So some of the information about the artists here and the visual artists, the VAs are stunningly awful. To our understanding, we never indirectly contact with our voice actors, so this is news to us. We're currently reaching out to her. Sekai then puts this statement out, and it's really weird because they didn't tweet it. The traffic was mainly coming from Twitter and YouTube, but they posted this on their website and then just kind of forgot about it, which I thought was kind of weird. But they said, "Hello everyone, I want to issue a statement regarding Wingcloud expose video and clarify our role in the now cancelled Otome game project, The Guardian Spell, as well as a retract of the statement we gave in 2015, basically trying to answer, you know, where's all the money? Did those people get paid?" In a statement to the publication VNs Now, we iterated these reasons, have believed them to be accurate. We took the word for it. So they believed this to be accurate. So they believed that Nick had had a falling out, and then they posted it, and then they didn't reply to the response that VNs Now had then posted about the reflection of the situation. We took the word for it at the time partner developer without doing any diligence in getting our voice actor side of the story, and so parroted what we'd been told by Wingcloud in our statement. This was a mistake on our part, as we like to formally apologise to the community as well as Michaela Laws and her voice acting group for our error. We've reached out to Michaela privately to give her a well-deserved apology. In the 2 years since we made the statement, we have continued to grow and learn from our mistakes. We'll get to that in a minute. In addition, we'd like to clarify that we had no role in the decision to cancel the game. That decision was made by Wingcloud. The extent of our involvement with the game included briefly managing the Kickstarter account in the months after the campaign had been concluded, as well as refunding all backers out of our own pockets, despite not technically being responsible for its completion. That is very interesting. So they are saying that they paid everyone. I'd love to see some proof. I would love to see, because there's still a lot of people on there that have said they didn't get paid. What's all that about? And yet they said they got locked out, which is also kind of interesting too. Something doesn't add up here. There's something going on. They wanted to talk to me about the video, and they said, "We don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you. Someone will reach out to you. Our support team is trying to investigate why your emails did not reach our help desk," which I did email. I used their on-site email page, and apparently it just didn't go through. And then they for some reason sent me the statement. I don't know why they sent me the statement. They said, "We thank you for your patience. We've sent the statement. As for an interview, we can arrange this. However, since a lot of details relating to Wingcloud are a few years back, we'd like the questions ahead of time so we can confirm the details and also record the conversation." So take note, they wanted to confirm details and record it. They want to confirm details and they want to record it. Take note, they've also talked about Nick. They've bagged him the fuck out publicly and privately. I then send them the questions, in which the questions are all relating to Nick. Then they turn around to me and they said they couldn't answer any of those questions. They spoke to their legal team and they said no. Who is running the social media over there? That's really confusing me, because now it sounds like there's more than one fucking dude that's running it. Who is really doing everything over there? It's so fascinating, because they say they're gonna do the interview and they know what I'm gonna ask them, and then I send the questions, which is pretty fucking obvious, and oh no, I can't answer that. What did you think I was gonna ask? What you had for fucking lunch? You know, I started to realize that it was a lot bigger than just Wingcloud. Some of these people were very polite in emailing me and telling me that their story about Sekai Project and how they were saying that we also got treated like that. And don't get me wrong, I know Sekai's done a lot of bad things. I've now read about it. I've now looked it all up. I've seen it all, and it's out there. If you're really that fucking interested, go look up Sekai Project. Go to the visual novel Reddit. You can read all about it. You can read it anyway. You just fucking Google it. Sekai Project has been in a lot of shit. I feel like this is it's turning into one of those things that is a little bit too big for me. I know particularly, and I guess this is one of the questions they didn't want to answer. Lupisoft really, really just wants their earnings for their game, Demon Hunter Toko. And Sekai refuses to hand that over. I'm not a lawyer. It's not my thing. I'm here to review sexy video games. That's my whole shtick, right? But I'm pretty sure, particularly in a contract, and especially considering you'd be working for someone, you'd kind of want to see sales figures. They refused to show him any sales figures that were made on the game.
We stopped receiving any communication from Sekai Project for a number of months. I was basically trying to get records of sales figures because during the entire time that we were publishing under Sekai Project, they had never sent us an actual spreadsheet of what our sales figures looked like. We were basically unceremoniously told, we're no longer publishing you. That's what I mean by blacklisting. We were just basically said, we're no longer publishing you. We're going to give you our last payment. We were given actual authority, which means we had control over the finances and everything. However, what I don't have is finances going back to before we were public, before the transfer. It is just generally bad form to, if you're supposed to provide business records, sales records, you should be sending them. That was part of the agreement. And so far they have dodged every attempt for me to ask for that data. I have no idea why.
As for everyone else that emailed me about Sekai Project, I think Sekai Project knows that they're scumbags. I don't really have much to say about. I think if anything, Sekai Project needs to look at themselves in the mirror, and if they didn't say anything, they probably wouldn't be in the fire right now. They were standing over there, and then the moment I started talking about Wind Cloud, they were like, ah! Like they ran in. And then everybody that was a developer shifted focus. So there were two sides that were happening. During this entire ordeal as well, I've had people contact me about other companies as well. You guys probably know who they are, because ever since then people have emailed me, they've messaged me about all these people. These other people in the ecchi game industry that have done bad. Some of these people have a lot of things to answer for. And I think what I've worked out is that this industry's fucked. A lot of people have lost their way when it comes to making something you love versus making it because you want to make money. Some of these other companies I may talk about in the future. If I do decide to do another video, it will be a while. I want to leave it. I'm not one to shake the tree. I don't want to be the next... I guess the way to look at it is, I don't want to be like the next Drama Alert for like ecchi video games. I don't want to be the next Pyrocynical or any other drama channel that talks about this stuff. I'm not necessarily a big fan of these because I just want to sit around and critique video games with sex appeal. I know some people think my channel is a bit shallow, but me, I'd love talking about great sexy video games and bad sexy video games. To do a drama video is to pull away from my element a little bit, and it does take me a little bit more time. But the reason I did it, and the reason I did everything that I did in the previous video, is because none of these people had a voice, and if I didn't talk about it, nobody else was going to. That's it for now. I hope this video was a little bit more enlightening on the aftermath of the Wind Cloud saga. We'll go back to normal videos for now. And you never know. Never know what's around the corner. As always, I'm your boy Shades, and remember, you get what you paid for. Good night.